This was, I believe, the greatest political movement of all time.
Donald Trump is making a historic return to the White House after winning the presidential race. Alongside his victory, the US dollar and stock market are also seen as winners. But his presidency could weigh on other investments like bonds and emerging markets. Analysts have predicted how his term could affect the global markets. A Trump presidency is seen strengthening the US dollar. Investors expect his policies to lead to higher inflation than Democrat Kamala Harris's. That will mean the Fed would need to keep rates high to prevent the economy from overheating. This, in turn, would be positive for the dollar.
If I'm going to be president of this country, I'm going to put a 100, 200, 2,000% tariff.
Alongside this, Trump has pledged to impose tariffs on trade. He also has plans including forcing European allies to pay more for defence. This is likely to depress growth elsewhere in the world, boosting the dollar's allure. Sectors such as banks, technology, defence and fossil fuels are likely to benefit from his win. That's due to his promise of less regulation and lower taxes for big corporations, as well as more oil production and tough immigration policy, which all point to stronger growth and inflation. But it's not yet clear how much of Trump's tax cut plan will make it through Congress. On the other hand, his protectionist policies and tough stance on China would raise costs, reduce profitability, and hurt multinational companies. And sectors exposed to tariff charges like semiconductors, autos, and clean energy will likely be volatile. Investors have been growing increasingly alarmed about the scale of US government debt and fiscal debts adding to it. They worry it will push up borrowing costs or treasury yields. But an estimate shows Trump's spending plan could add a further $7.5 trillion to deficits over 10 years, far greater than what Harris proposed. And inflationary pressures from Trump's policies would leave the Fed with less room to cut rates, which will keep Treasury yields elevated. As Trump's win is also likely to hamper growth in Europe and Asia, currency pressures and higher inflation will leave central banks with less room to cut rates. Analysts expect global yields to rise.
We're going to drill, baby, drill.
Trump has promised to roll back on green regulations which curb coal mining and drilling for oil and gas. A follow-through on his pledge could boost shares in those sectors. He's also said he'd rescind all unspent funds under the Inflation Reduction Act. This was a Biden-Harris administration climate law that includes hundreds of billions of dollars in subsidies for electric vehicles, solar and wind energy. But steps that could actually drive down shares in those sectors may require congressional action. Several Republican lawmakers have expressed support for part of it.